I was taking a walk with the whole family a couple years ago. Me, my wife, our brand new dog. We just got a Brittany Spaniel named Rusty. And at the end of every night, we all went around our neighborhood, took a walk together. This is how we started ending our nights. It was great. Sun setting. We get some cardio in. And most importantly, we just get to talk to each other. There's no better way that I've found I can connect with my family than by taking these walks. So we're taking a walk. Everyone's there. My son brings up how he wants to get Jordans. And I grew up in a 2-bedroom, 1-bathroom house, 11 people. We all got sent to Catholic school. My parents slept in the living room. This was the kind of house that I grew up in. The shoes that we got, they were from a store called Payless. And my reaction to my son was not great. And I'm going to share with you in this story how I reacted poorly, how it affected my son, how I should have reacted, and then how I fixed it after I did that. Hey, everybody, I'm Chris Schrodak. I'm the founder of Rising Father and the transformational men's program, Men of Fire. This is where we take undisciplined fathers and make them disciplined, inspiring leaders of their family. I like to share stories of my experience as a father and hope you can gain some wisdom from them. I also like to hear from you. So if you like this kind of content, please subscribe, like, share it, and comment what you like to do as a father to connect with your kids. So we're taking this walk. My son says, "Hey, Dad, do you think I can get some Jordans?" And as I said, the first thing that came to my mind was, hell no. I didn't say that right then, but that's the first thing that came to my mind. For whatever reason, it made me really upset. It ticked me off in the moment. But I didn't say anything right away. And like I said, I grew up in a town called Westview. It's a kind of lower income suburb of Pittsburgh. 11 people in a 2-bedroom, 1-bathroom house. My parents sent us all to Catholic school, which is a huge expense for them. I'm grateful that they did that. All sent us all to that school. And then we all went to a public school for high school. We went out to eat maybe once a month. Didn't go on very extravagant vacations because there's a giant family. I can only imagine how expensive it would be to take that many people out to eat. For my family of 4, it's very expensive. My parents had 11 people they had to take out. When I got shoes, they were hand-me-down shoes, or they were from this store called Payless. There weren't Jordans there. There weren't Nikes. It was all off-brand, very cheap shoes. The most expensive shoes I ever bought when I was a child was probably $15, $20 until I got my own job and bought my own. And then now, even as an adult, my shoes are Costco shoes. Those are the kind of shoes that I get. I go to Costco, I want stuff there. I'll spend $20, $25 max on a pair of shoes. And as my son said that, all of that was going through my head. On top of that, the previous day, me and Nathan just had a father-son day. You ever see that movie called Yes Day? It's where you take your kids on basically a whole day. They get to choose what you get to do. That's what I did with my son. I did it once with him and once with my daughter. And all this was going through my head. The previous day, we went to Fun for All, which was this place with go-karts, there's video games and food. The entire day, me and Nathan, we went out to restaurants, we did go-karts, we did video games. I spent more on him the day before than my parents spent on me for an entire year. That's just the way it was. Okay, 2 completely different situations. So he said that to me. First, me and Sarah said no, and then we kind of laughed it off. We were like, no. But then he pushed it a little bit. He said, well, yeah, all my friends have Jordans. And he wouldn't let it go. He kept on saying, he was like, why not? My friends have Jordans. And that ticked me off because it made me feel like he was being ungrateful for everything that we do for him. For how we go on vacations, multiple vacations a year. We go out to eat at least once a week. We had a Nathan Dad Day. And all his shoes and clothes are pretty much new that we get him. To me, all of these feelings were coming to my head as I was just taking this nice, beautiful walk with my family. My son's just saying he wants some Jordans. And for me, the thought that came to my head was he's being ungrateful. And it really ticked me off. So I said to him sternly, I said, Nathan, you are never going to get Jordans. He was, I think, 8 years old at this time. I said, you're never going to get Jordans. I'm telling you that right now. I am never going to buy you Jordans. It was my intent to shut him down, to put it in his head, prove to him that he's never going to get Jordans. Stop asking for it. Get it out of your head, because I don't want to hear this every day for the next 3 years, right? That's what I was thinking. You're never going to get Jordans. So that's what I told to him on that walk and that night when me and my family were walking together. And then my wife, Sarah, backed me up. She's been a good wife. She backed me up and said something to him as well. Said the same kind of thing. And then my son started crying uncontrollably. His face got all red. His face went down. He started crying on this walk on that night 3 years ago when our whole family and our puppy dog were walking together. And he says to us, honestly, through his tears, why are you guys doing this right now? He said, why can't we just have a nice walk? And I immediately felt like crap. I immediately knew I screwed up. And I felt it in my gut. I felt it so bad I felt like crying. I hate seeing my kids cry. I hate seeing my wife cry. And I remember crying as a child when my parents yelled at me or a teacher yelled at me, or I just felt lonely and scared and afraid. And I saw that in my son right now. I just felt like I was that angry dad who's proving the point and yelling for no reason. I just made my son cry for no reason. He said, why are you? And he was the voice of wisdom. My son, my 8-year-old boy, he was like the pure spirit speaking truth to me. It's like, why are you doing this right now? Why can't we just have a nice walk and talk? He was the one to say that to me at 35 years old. So I let his words sit with me for a little bit. I didn't say anything for a couple minutes. And I apologized. I said, I'm sorry, Nathan. I knew I screwed up. I felt it in my gut immediately. I knew that I messed up. I said, I'm sorry, Nathan, and I thanked him. I said, thank you, Nathan. We deserved that. You put us in our place. I wanted him to know that it was okay that he did that, and that was the right thing to do. I said, I'm sorry, Nathan. I shouldn't have done that. We deserve that. You put us in our place. And then my wife also apologized to him. And he slowly started to wipe the tears away. His smile came back. And then we had another 10, 15 minutes to walk together. Thank God. If that was how we ended the night, I would have felt real bad. Probably would have taken him back out on another walk. But we walked together for another 10, 15 minutes. And then I brought up the Jordans again. I said, well, maybe, if you earn your own money someday, or who knows, maybe we could get it. Maybe blah, blah, blah. Because what's the big deal? What does it matter? I made this arbitrary rule in my head that my son had to live by based on how I used to live. And it means nothing to me. And now I have regret over that moment. Like the cost of that shoe, of a Jordan shoe, even the cheapest ones, $70, $75 or something. To him at 8 years old, that would have blown his mind. The cost of this regret is massive. Thousands and thousands of dollars. If I could get rid of that memory of regret by paying $75, I'd do it, but it's going to stick with me forever. Who gives a damn about the cost of a Jordan shoe? But we fathers, we do that all the time. We choose to prove our point. We choose to be right in the situation, and we choose to make some members of our family feel like shit to prove our point, to make sure we're right because we're the alpha dad. We are in charge. This is what discipline looks like. It looks like me getting my way. But I didn't want to be known like that. So I have regret from that memory, but I'm also thankful for that memory because I've never forgotten it. I learned my lesson, and I've never forgotten. It still stings. So when I feel that pain and I feel that sting, I don't take a drink of whiskey, take a smoke, and try to medicate it away. I remind myself, okay, choose your child over the principle. You don't have to be right. You're allowed to apologize. Choose your child so you don't have this stinging memory of regret every day for the rest of your life. So I let it sink in, and luckily we had some time to fix it. The worst thing I could have done is double down to prove myself right or yell at him for crying. Like I said, the previous day, me and Nathan went to a go-kart place. It was like a fun-for-all. We played video games and all kind of stuff. It was a Nathan Daddy Day. And I saw what could happen if you have to be right. And then you double down. This father was there with his son, same age as me, same age as Nathan. Their son was the same age as Nathan. His son went into the wrong golf cart. That's it. That's the sin that he did. He went into the wrong golf cart. The dad immediately, boom, starts snapping and yelling at him, calling him an idiot. This kid is dressed cool. He wants to look cool. He's got his hat backwards. He's got his cool clothes on. He's probably looking forward to this for months with his dad. Wanted to look like a cool kid, man. He's like, yeah, I'm going to go here and look my best. And something about that makes it even sting even worse for me, that he's like, it reminds me of the first time I took Nathan to the big boy gym with me at 5 a.m. He spent 15 minutes setting out his clothes because he wanted to look good going into this gym. He wanted to look like a man. And I can only imagine the hurt that would have came to him if I'd said something about the way he was dressed or something like that, or made him feel bad about himself. It just kills me on the inside. So this father starts snapping and yelling at his kid for getting in the wrong go-kart. The kid says he's sorry, struggles to get out of the go-kart, isn't doing it fast enough. He gets tangled in the belts. The dad grabs his arm, rips him out of the go-kart as the kid's crying now. And then the dad is yelling at the kid for crying. The kid is so out of control right now with his emotions and so humiliated and feels so bad. He's crying with his backwards hat on and his clothes with his Father-Son Day. The dad's so upset about the situation and out of control himself, he's screaming at his son. Kid's not doing it fast enough. He rips him out of the go-kart and then yells at his son for crying. And then he yells at his son that they're going to go home. And that's the memory that that kid has of that night. And that's the memory that father has to live with for the rest of his life. That's the wrong thing to do. That's what I want to avoid. So apologize. That's the lesson. I'm so grateful that I did. Like, I look back on that lesson, I have regret over what I did, but I also love myself and I'm proud of myself for apologizing to Nathan and saying, thank you for telling us that and putting us in our place. Because I want a son who is confident. I want a son who is independent and confident enough to look his dad in the face and say, you're being a jerk, stop it. I want a son who has a relationship with his father that's comfortable enough to tell me no. Because where do the cracks form in relationships with family members, including your wife? They happen when the other person is not comfortable enough to communicate truthfully with you, so they hold things in. And then that's when the surprise divorce letter comes. And I've talked to hundreds of guys who that's happened to. Like, well, I wasn't expecting that. I thought everything was okay. Yeah, you thought everything was okay because your wife was so uncomfortable sharing the truth with you, she kept it to herself and her girlfriends. Then you found out by a lawyer's letter in the mail. Or you're like, what happened to the relationship with my son? We were so close. Well, he didn't feel comfortable communicating with you. So I was grateful my son had the relationship closeness with me to say, Dad, why did you do that? Stop it. That's not who you should be. I would much rather have a son who has the confidence to do that than a son who morphs who he is to seek my approval. Because what happens to that person? That person becomes a yes man people pleaser. The child that looks you in the face and agrees with you, but doesn't, so that he can get your approval because he loves you so much, is a child who will become an adult people pleaser, yes man, Mr. Nice Guy, who will never truly love himself. His identity and confidence will be based on the love of other people. He will only love himself if he has the love of other people, and I will not have that happen to my children. I have some of that in myself that I've been surgically removing over the years. Many of the guys who come into Men of Fire have that in themselves, and we surgically remove it bit by bit, and it's crippling. But this is how it starts to form. It's whenever we make a mistake, it's obviously bothering our kids, and we force them to conform to us instead of apologizing because of our ego, and they will willingly change who they are to please us. That's the beginning of the people pleaser, yes man. It's from us parents. We force our children to change who they are to make us happy and please us. So I will not have that happen to my kids. And I was grateful that he had the confidence to stand up to me. Never happened again. I've never forgotten that lesson. And that's the thing. When these lessons happen, don't glaze over them. Remember them. Keep them with you forever. So here's the lessons to summarize that I took from this. We have to handle ourselves so we don't give our burdens to our children. The people that are the most out of control, that traumatize their children the most, are the most traumatized people. They're the people who lack the most discipline, who let their health go, who are riddled with vices. They're always seeking comfort and pleasure everywhere. There's a complete lack of discipline. They've let their goals go. They let their dreams go. They've let themselves go. They have trauma they're constantly trying to escape from. All of this whirlpool of trauma that they're in, they give it to their kids. And then they snap and they yell at them. And then their kids give it to their kids. We must constantly work on our discipline and self-control so we do not give our kids the symptoms of our lack of self-control. We have to handle our ego. That's the constant man's battle. The constant father battle is our ego. We want to be right all the time. We want to teach the lesson all the time. I'll do another video on that, tell a story about that, having to teach a lesson as a father. We constantly want to prove ourselves right. And that's what I could have done that day. I could have doubled down like that father on a go-kart and proved myself right, then yelled at him for crying and saying, no, I am right in all things because I am father. That's not what a father is to me. Father is a warm, strong, loving hand that embraces his child. That's the vision that I want to live up to. And then just apologize. Apologize when you're wrong, not just for yourself and to make things better with your child, but so you teach your child to apologize. If a child never watches his father apologize to him, then you're growing a child who will become a father who never apologizes and then has an unbreakable ego that cripples his family again. So we have to model these things that we want to see in our kids. So I'm happy my son did that to me. I want him to be confident. I want him to be strong. I want him to have a rock-solid identity. And I want him to be strong and confident more than I want him to seek my approval. So because of that, we choose our kids in all things. So like I said on these stories, I really love when you guys share what you're doing with your own families, or honestly, the most powerful thing you could do is share when you screw up. In my group, Men of Fire, these are the most powerful shares. That whenever the guys say, yeah, man, I messed up today. I said a guy this past weekend, he said, I flipped out, called my kid this name, but it stung really, really bad. I'm never going to do it again. Shared it with the entire group. Then he said, past couple days, I haven't snapped one time. And that's, for him, it's a massive victory. So do that in the comments. Not only does that help the video get seen by more people, but it will help another guy reading where he thinks he's alone and the only person suffering with this. It'll also help him. Please subscribe if you haven't. Please like, please share, please comment, and I'll see you guys on the next one.